welcome to where I talk about Arcane Season 1. And I'm going to split this into two parts. Part 1 is when there's Vi and Powder kids, and then part 2 is when they're adults. Now, before I start this video, I must tell you all to like, comment, subscribe to the channel before I start this video. Anyway, I love Arcane Season 1, Part 1. It's a lot more slow pace. We get a learn about the Undercity and the top city, which I think is called the Piltovers. Please correct me if that's not what they're called. I'm so tired. Anyway, I'm just going to call them the Piltovers because it's a lot easier, and that's one of the names I actually remembered. Anyway, they sort of in this war, and we never explained why they're in this war. It just kind of happened. And Vi and Powder are one of the few children that are victims to this war. And we see Vander, who's a father, he's grieving because he just lost his wife, and so he made this sort of agreement with the Piltovers to not start this other war with the Undercity anymore, to just leave them alone, and he would keep track of his people. But we don't learn that later, and no one, I guess, has realized this until much later. And so they sort of kind of grown up since this war, and they get this lead from Little Man, and they break into Jason's apartment, and Powder accidentally knocks down one of the hex cores, and it sets a bomb, explodes the building. And this gets the Piltover super mad, where they need an execution because this building has exploded and killed people, and you got people injured, so they need an example of someone, or at least lock someone up forever. And so they go and terrorize the Undercity, and this is just gruesome. I'm just I don't like these people, and I like how they just come in and they're completely masked up. Good golly, you don't need to go this harsh. And no one from the Undercity likes them. They just hate them. They've got a grudge, and they would want to declare war, but Vander won't allow them because he's made that peace treaty. And it's just kind of all a mess. And and Powder and Vi are just trying to get by, and I feel so bad for Powder because the guy Milo, he's completely addicted to Powder. He's you're small, you're tiny, you won't own up to whatever we do, and I'm just give her a break. She is a child. I know this is a harsh rules, but just doing that will not help her. And yeah, he just needed to stop and leave Powder alone. And I do like Powder's and Vi's dynamic. It felt they were super close and bonding. And I could definitely feel the devastation the Piltovers did to the Undercity. Because the Undercity is such a family. There's so many more people in the Undercity than there are in the Piltovers. The Undercity is completely crowded. And I'm just golly, did they just throw everyone they didn't like in the Undercity? I feel that just happened. And then when we get into the war kind of thing, knock it off. We get to meet Silco, who's the man behind this entire project, because he wants to get revenge on sort of Vander, because Vander is his brother, and he did try to kill him by drowning him once. We don't know why he tried to drown him. I'm guessing there was some type of argument, may have something to do with the war. Maybe he started that. Well, that's my theory until I see season 2. So he goes and tries to get his entire family killed, and he when the police make an arrest, Vi goes and tries to arrest herself because she knows this isn't helping anyone. And Vander finds out, goes to make his arrest, and Silco goes and kills the 2 goons and drags them off with the Singe monster, because he's with the scientist named Singe, and they had injected him with Shimmer, which is a drug, and it turns people into mutant creatures, which is also super cool. Singe, I'm gonna have to look out for Singe because he is super how did you invent this drug? Dude, I have so many questions about you. You're one of the top mysterious characters. Anyway, yeah, and Vi goes and has to rescue her father, and she leaves Powder, and Powder's devastated, and she has these hex core bars still, and so she decided to use them. While Vi is being up people, Vander has died, and he drops into Shimmer, which he does take to help Vi defeat like the big monster, which is taking Shimmer. And Powder, on the other hand, has decided to use the hex scrolls and use it with her monkey bombs and has destroyed the tiny place, killing everyone besides Vi, Singe, and Silco. And Vi is completely devastated when she realizes Powder is the reason for this and completely like throws it to the ground and calls it Jinx and practically just leaves it there. And the moment when she sees Powder with Silco, she like tries to run back, but she can't because she's gagged. And now we gotta talk about the person about hex core because I like completely brushed that over, but it's gonna be like this all the time. So hex core was founded by Jace when he and his mother like went to a snowstorm. His mother like collapsed from freezing to death. Why they in the snowstorm? I have no idea. Guessing they were trying to move to Piltover, and like that was the best time to move to Piltover. I have no idea. Anyway, the mother died. A weird wizard came and like stopped the snowstorm. Gave him like part of like the hex core thingy, and he keeps on experimenting, which leads to him experimenting and getting unauthorized equipment, which gets him robbed and the building collapses, and then he's under investigation. And I love how like Victor like investigates him with these two police officers with how much discrimination between like the Piltovers and the Undercity. Like Victor seems to have a little bit more power and authorization. Like did Heimerdinger like give him this authorization? Because I don't think anyone in the Piltover area would give him this authorization or even think about it. And so like they arrest him, and he under pressure says he was trying to create magic. And Victor is now odd, and so is Mel, because Mel, she definitely does see something. Like she sees this weapon as her gift of finally being seen or recognized by her family, because she was sort of like cast out by her family, and I think she just wants to be recognized by them again. So that could be the reason why she wants this invention. So she allows Victor and Jace to like make this thing stabilized. Anyway, part 2. Now, part 2 of season 1 is a complete mess. There's so much happening, and I know I'm gonna miss like a lot of important scenes. I'm so sorry. I'm just like trying to remember everything, but yeah, this is a complete mess. Anyway, to begin with is Victor and Jace has now finally stabilized Hex Core, and they have decided to now allow like Hexer to do what they want instead of what the counselor wants. And unfortunately, Heimerdinger not having this, because Heimerdinger definitely knows this thing's evil. Like he says like he's seen something like that destroys civilization. So now I have so many questions. If like his kind like seen stuff like that, then why isn't it recorded? Or like have like each people who've like seen this kind like interpreted it to be something else, so like no one quite knows what it is. Not even like Heimerdinger. He just like knows the familiarity of this like dangerous thing. And Victor is not really having this. Like he's super upset because he knows he's dying. Like he definitely knew it before like he was coughing up blood that his time was coming to like an end. And now we get to like Jinx, who's grown up and now working for Silco, and she's like kind of like attacking these people who is Echo's group, who is like Little Man, and she like rips off one like the mask, and she like gets a hallucination of like Vi, but it's not truly Vi because Vi is in prison, and Silco's practically just telling her let Powder die. And then he like orders her to like break into like Hex Core. Maybe she breaks into the upper city and steals Hex Core. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but she steals the Hex Core, which allows Jace to like lock and key all the Hex Cores and like takes them back. And while he's like investigating the Hex Cores, he realizes there's a lot of like holes in the system, which leads to like Catherine meeting Vi, investigating that and figuring out who the hell Jinx is. And while like he's talking about like the Hex Core security, Victor is coughing up blood. Yeah. And no one realizes it, and I'm just like, someone go check on Victor. Like please. And so, well, after like Victor like coughs up blood, he also gets a vision. He tells Jace that he got a vision, and Jace is just like completely like, "Oh, cool, you got a vision. What was it about?" Like Jace doesn't seem that concerned, and he just keeps like allowing Victor to do whatever he wants. And now Mel is not happy because she wants this hex core, and with hex core being lock and key, she's not getting what she wants, which is like pathway recognition and this weapon. And so she's practically manipulating Jace and be like, "Hey, you can do this. You like don't need to like do like what everyone says, as long as you just make a deal." And so like Jace is making deals that he's never gonna keep, which is making Mel quite happy with him. And so like after the deal, they have like that scene, and then Victor, who is like messing with the hex core late at night, and even like Sky, who is like the girl who like has so like an admiration for Victor, like a crush, telling him to like there's always tomorrow, and Victor's like not having it. And then he like passes out, and Jace I guess finds him, or someone finds him and tells Jace. And when like Victor wakes up, Jace like the doctors, and Victor's like, "How much time do I have left?" Because he knew from the beginning he was dying. And Jace like completely shocked, and this is where he's like, "Okay, that's enough. Like we need to like get hex core up and going, and so I need to like make this more of a thing." But Heimerdinger still saying no, and Jace is getting more upset. And this is where like Mel finally gives, somewhere around here, Mel gives him like sort of the power of counselor, which eventually leaves him being kicked out for kicking Heimerdinger out of counselor. And Heimerdinger definitely knows something going on with Victor because the blood is mixed with the hex core, but like Victor doesn't quite know that yet. And now to talk about like Catherine and Vi, they're like going and investigating the Undercity and trying to figure out who Jinx is. Well, Catherine's trying to figure out who's Jinx. Vi is trying to find Powder, because she doesn't know that Powder's Jinx until she meets one of like Silco's goons who informs her that Jinx is Powder, which makes her completely upset. And then the goon tells like Silco that Vi's alive, so he sends the goon out for them and tries to kill them. And they end in like in the Undercity of Undercity, where people who have taken Shimmer like 1,000 times have now like become this like deformed. And I'm guessing the only place is like now just a shop for Shimmer. I guess they can still get Shimmer as long as they have something to trade, which is I'm like, ooh, this is kind of dark. Anyway, yeah, Kathleen like jacks Vi with Shimmer because like she's dying. And I'm guessing while this is all happening, Jinx definitely knows something's up, like her sister is alive. And so she's like interrogating everyone until she figures out like, yeah, she's alive. And this is where also Silco is actually like trying to make her like experiment with the hex core and doing like her own thing with them. And this is where like she's like still having PTSD and going back to her old places and getting like flashbacks to like all the times which she doesn't want to have. Like I feel so bad for Jinx. Anyway, what happens next? Oh yeah, Victor can't seem to figure out the ruin, so he goes and tells Jace, "Oh, I know someone from the Undercity that could." Well, he doesn't say the Undercity. He just knew he knew a colleague. So he goes into the Undercity. Unfortunately, there's like a blockade made by Jace, so which unfortunately I don't think he knew about it. So he goes and meets Singe, and he tells him like, "I finally understand," because he and Singe know each other. For when Victor was small, he was hobbling around trying to find his like boat, and he ends up in Singe's like cave thing, and he finds like the hybrid that Singe is experimenting on. And does the hybrid have something to do with his child? Because he refuses to let this thing die. Like, can't you just restart it, redo it, whatever you're trying to do with this monster thing? And Victor, when he's small, he first agrees until later on when he feels like like the tubes are connected to the monster, he just runs off, and the scientist says, "Oh, I thought you understood," and like Victor didn't. But then when he comes back, he's like, "I finally understand now," and like the scientist completely like recognizes him. I'm like, "Have you and Singe been keeping contact with each other? Like, how do you like recognize each other? Like, like I have so many questions." Anyway, the scientist gives him Shimmer and tells him like no one will quite understand. Like they will all hate you for this past, and it's just like Jace will understand. Fortunately, he does not, because when like he comes back up and he can't get out, he like calls, like he gets like Jace, and Jace is like completely mad because he's like, the Undercity people are dangerous, and he's like, I'm from the Undercity, thank you. And so he goes off by himself and experiments with Shimmer, doesn't tell Jace, and he's able to like run again. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long, so he like fully experiments with him and the magic, which leads like Sky, who doesn't know what's going on, to die, and Victor is completely devastated because like he just wanted the scene to help people. He didn't expect anyone to like actually die, and this is where he hobbles off and like tries to kill himself, and like Jace like stops him, and they like made a deal to like finally destroy this thing because they both realized the action, because Jace went off because Catherine found him, like Catherine Vi found him and like talked to the counselor about like the Shimmer and the stuff and Silco and stuff, and they bring him to the Undercity, and like Jace has like killed the kid, so he's like refreshed and finally realized like I can't be counselor, but I will refuse to like let this keep happening any longer. So Jace agreed with Victor to like destroy the hex cores, but Jace still doesn't really want to destroy the hex cores because of like, you know, it's his life works. And we do know that from Kathleen and Vi, they do meet with Echo. I'm so sorry I didn't mention that first. And Echo gets in a fight. Who's Little Man? I think I mentioned it. I don't remember how to look. He does get in a fight with Jinx, and the building explodes, and well, not the building, the bridge explodes, and it kills like probably Jinx, and Silco runs to Singe to like resurrect her and say, I can't let her to die. And this is where Singe like tranquilizes Silco. It's like, oh, I know what you mean, but I've had a daughter too, and you cannot see this. This will destroy you. And this is where she becomes fully insane and becoming more like Jinx, where she like completely like kidnaps Catherine and Vi. And she's completely, like, telling Vi that she, like, you know, dished up her girlfriend, which I'm just like, oh, God, Jinx. But truly, she did it. She was like, I'm not that crazy. And also, she learns that Jace made an agreement with Silco to keep the Undercity their own independent city, but it's not going to make anyone happy because of, like, the terms and conditions, and she definitely knows that. And, Silco's like, no, I wouldn't. Like, it's just us. Like, everyone's just gonna betray us. Like, I would never betray you. And she's, like, not believing her. And this is where Vi decides Big Rain Moon and just keep shouting out names that she knew. And she gets, like, super mad. And Silco, like, refuses to, like, allow her to remember. So he tries to, like, kill Vi. But Jinx pulls out the gun and, like, kills Silco. And she's, like, completely devastated. And Silco's like, I would have never betrayed you, like, you're perfect. And then he dies. And this is where Jinx becomes so mad. She pulls up, like, the gun and, like, shoots the Upper City, where the Upper City has now decided to, like, agree to Jace's term of making the Undercity the own independent city before the bomb, you know, blows them up. Anyway, this was kind of a mess. I'm so sorry if I missed some details. I know I did.